The number on the screen is a 0. A perfect, beautiful, devastating 0. It sits there, smug and absolute, where 6 figures used to be. Leo's 6 figures. The money my father left him. A legacy of calloused hands and 60-hour work weeks, distilled into a number that is now just a 0. My breath catches in my throat, a sharp, ragged thing. The air in my home office feels thin, stolen. The faint scent of lemon polish and old books, usually a comfort, now feels like a mockery. This room, my sanctuary, has become a crime scene. I click refresh. The 0 remains. Unblinking. I click it again, a frantic prayer to a digital god. 0. The world outside my window keeps moving. A woman walks her dog. A car drives by, bass thumping. They don't know that my world has just stopped. That a black hole has opened up in the middle of our lives and swallowed our son's future. I feel a coldness spread from the pit of my stomach, a glacial wave creeping through my veins.
It's not just the money.
It's the violation. The trust vaporized. The foundation of my life, of our family, turned to dust. And I know with a certainty that feels like a shard of glass in my heart, who did this. If you've ever felt that cold drop in your stomach, that moment the world tilts on its axis, tell me in the comments below. I read all of them. And if this is your first time here, please subscribe. It helps me bring these stories to light. Our life, before the 0, was a carefully curated masterpiece of suburban bliss. Or so I told myself. We had the house with the slate gray siding and the perfectly manicured lawn that Richard, my husband, was so proud of. We had the 2 cars in the garage and the membership to the local country club. We had Leo, our son, our brilliant, quiet, fiercely intelligent son. He was the son we both orbited. Richard was a man who loved the appearance of success. He wore his suits like armor and his smile like a weapon. He was a senior vice president at a mid-level tech firm, a position that sounded more important than it was. He was good at his job, a master of schmoozing, of making people feel important while he was really just assessing their value. I used to call it charm. Now I see it for what it was, calculation. I was the quiet partner, the one who managed the home, the finances, the emotional temperature of our family. I was the one who made sure Leo had everything he needed, not just materially, but emotionally. I was the one who remembered his dreams, his fears, his quiet ambitions. The inheritance was from my father, a man who smelled of sawdust and integrity. He'd run a small, successful construction business his whole life, and when he passed, he left a significant trust for his only grandson. For Leo's future, the will had stated, clear as day. So, he can build whatever life he wants, without having to ask anyone for permission. My father had never fully trusted Richard. He saw the flashiness, the hunger for approval that I had mistaken for ambition. He'd structured the trust so that I was the sole trustee, with the funds to be transferred to Leo on his 21st birthday, or to be used for his education or a significant life investment before then, with my approval. For years, that money sat there, a silent promise, a safety net woven from a grandfather's love. Leo was 18 now, a freshman in college studying computer science and business, and we talked about him using it as seed money for a startup after he graduated. It was his dream, his launch pad. The first crack in our perfect facade wasn't a 0 on a bank statement. It was a receipt, a flimsy piece of thermal paper tucked into the pocket of a suit I was taking to the dry cleaners. A hotel, the kind with a sleek, impersonal name and a bar in the lobby that served overpriced cocktails. It wasn't a hotel Richard would ever stay at for work. His company used a boring, reliable chain near the airport. This one was downtown, expensive, and boutique. And the charge was for a Friday night when he was supposedly working late on the Peterson account. I hold the receipt in my hand, and the paper feels slick, treacherous. The world doesn't stop this time. It just tilts. Everything looks the same, but the angle is all wrong. The photos on the mantelpiece, us smiling on vacation, Leo in his graduation cap, suddenly look like props on a stage. When I confront him that evening, He deploys his greatest weapon, his charm. He laughs it off. Oh, that? Honey, that was a client thing. We had to wine and dine the Peterson guys. They were staying there. I just put the bar tab on my card. He wraps his arms around me, his voice a low, soothing murmur against my hair. You're not getting paranoid on me, are you? He calls me paranoid. He makes me feel small, foolish, suspicious. It's a masterful performance. He is so convincing that for a moment I almost believe him. I want to believe him. Believing him means our life gets to stay perfect. Not believing him means taking a sledgehammer to the last 20 years. So I nod. I let him hold me. But the receipt feels like a cold stone in my pocket. I don't throw it away. The late nights become more frequent. The Peterson account, it seems, is the most demanding account in the history of mid-level tech firms. He starts dressing differently. His suits get sharper, his watches more expensive. He talks about the gym, about a new diet. He is a man desperately trying to outrun middle age. He becomes obsessed with his phone, guarding it like a state secret. It's a classic, pathetic cliché, and watching it unfold in my own home feels like a slow-motion car crash. I start to feel like a ghost in my own life. I'm there, but he looks right through me. Our conversations become transactional. Did you pay the electric bill? Leo called, he needs money for books. We don't talk anymore. We just exchange information. The silence in our house grows, filling all the empty spaces between us until it's so loud I can barely think. My suspicions, the ones he called paranoia, solidify into a cold, hard certainty. I don't need a receipt anymore. I can smell her perfume on his clothes, a cloyingly sweet scent that doesn't belong to me. I can see the faint glow of his phone screen as he texts under the dinner table. The betrayal is no longer a question. It's a fact, a stain that has seeped into the very fabric of our lives. But the real inciting incident, the one that kicks the legs out from under my world, isn't the affair itself. It's the money. I start noticing discrepancies. Small at first. A credit card bill that's a little too high. A withdrawal from our joint savings that he explains away as a stock market opportunity. He's always been a bit of a gambler with investments, always chasing a big win. I'd always been the cautious one, the anchor to his high-flying kite. But now his risks feel different. They feel desperate.
I try to talk to him about it.
I spread the bank statements on the kitchen island, a sea of black and white. Richard, we need to talk about this. The spending is getting out of control. He doesn't even look at the papers. He just pours himself a glass of wine, his back to me. It's called investing, honey. You have to spend money to make money. It's for us. For our future. Our future. I hear the tremor in my own voice. Or your future. With whom? Richard? He turns then, and the mask of the charming husband is gone. His face is cold, angry. Don't start. Don't you dare start with that again. You have no idea what it takes to succeed, to build something. You just sit here in this house that I pay for and count pennies. The words hit me like a slap. This house that he pays for. As if my 2 decades of unpaid labor as a wife, mother, and household manager meant nothing. As if the inheritance my parents left me, which paid for the down payment on this very house, was just a footnote. That's when the fear really sets in. A deep, primal fear. He's not just cheating on me. He's rewriting our entire history. He's erasing me from our life. And that's when I decide to check on Leo's trust. Just to be sure. Just to know that the one thing that is pure and protected is still safe. I tell myself it's just for peace of mind. I log into the special trustee account, the one I haven't needed to touch in years. My fingers tremble as I type in the password. And that's when I see it. The 0. The first thing I do is call the bank. My voice is unnaturally calm. There must be a mistake, I say to the polite, disembodied voice on the other end of the line. I'm looking at the account for the Leo Miller Trust, and it's showing a balance of 0. There's a clicking of keys. A long pause. Ma'am, I'm seeing a full withdrawal of the principal amount, initiated 3 weeks ago. A withdrawal? By whom? My heart is hammering against my ribs. It looks like it was an internal transfer, ma'am. Authorized by you, as the trustee, to a joint checking account ending in 4-5-6-7". Our joint checking account. The one he has access to. The one he's been draining. He forged my signature. He must have found the documents in my office, practiced my name, and submitted the paperwork. The cold, calculated audacity of it takes my breath away. He didn't just take the money. He used me to do it. He made me the instrument of my own son's robbery. I hang up the phone and for a long time, I just sit there in the silence of my office. The grief is a physical weight pressing down on my chest. But underneath the grief, something else is beginning to smolder. A cold, hard rage. He didn't just break my heart. He declared war on my son. And that is a war he is going to lose. My first attempt to fix this is clumsy, emotional. I wait for him to come home. The moment he walks through the door, smelling of expensive cologne and lies, I confront him. I don't scream. My voice is dangerously quiet. Where is Leo's money? He has the gall to look confused. What are you talking about? The inheritance. My father's money. It's gone, Richard. And it was transferred to our joint account. Where is it? The charming facade cracks, just for a second. I see a flicker of panic in his eyes before it's replaced by annoyance. Oh, for God's sake. It's an investment. I moved it so it could actually do something, not just sit there collecting dust. I'm putting it into the company. We're on the verge of a major breakthrough, and this will put us over the top. It's going to double, triple. Leo will end up with more money than he ever would have had. You put our son's inheritance into your failing tech company? The words taste like ash in my mouth. You stole from your own son to prop up your ego. I didn't steal it, he roars, his face turning a blotchy red. It's an investment. You're too financially illiterate to understand. I'm building a legacy for this family. You're building a fantasy to impress your girlfriend. I finally scream, the words tearing out of my throat. I know, Richard. I know everything. The fight is ugly. Vicious. He doesn't confess. He deflects, he accuses. He tells me I'm trying to sabotage him, that my jealousy is going to ruin a brilliant business opportunity. By the end of it, I am exhausted, weeping, and he is slamming the door on his way out, presumably to her. I've accomplished nothing, except confirming that the man I married is gone. In his place is a stranger, a monster wearing his face. The next day, I call Leo at college. This is the hardest phone call I have ever had to make. I stumble through the words, trying to explain the unexplainable. Leo, honey, something has happened. With the trust fund. There's a silence on the other end of the line. Leo has always been a quiet kid, an observer. He processes things internally. When he finally speaks, his voice is steady, much steadier than mine. He took it, didn't he? Dad took the money. He already knew. Or he suspected. He'd seen the cracks I'd tried so hard to paper over. He'd seen his father changing, pulling away. He'd been watching just like I had. Yes, I whisper. He did. All of it. All of it. I wait for him to yell, to cry, to break down. But he doesn't. He just breathes. A long, slow exhale. Okay, he says, his voice devoid of emotion. Okay, Mom. Don't worry. I'm coming home this weekend. We'll figure it out. He says we, and in that one word, I feel the first flicker of hope. This is no longer my fight alone. It's ours. The weeks that follow are a descent into a special kind of hell. I hire a divorce lawyer, a sharp woman named Ms. Davies with eyes that miss nothing. She's sympathetic but pragmatic. It's a tough situation, she says, tapping her pen on a stack of my financial documents. He moved the money from a trust into a marital asset and then invested that marital asset into his privately held company. Unraveling this is going to be complicated and expensive. Richard, of course, has hired the most ruthless lawyer in the city, a shark in a $1,000 suit. They stonewall us at every turn. They claim the money was a gift, a marital investment I had verbally agreed to. They paint me as a vindictive, scorned wife trying to ruin her husband's business out of spite. They use my grief and anger against me, twisting my pain into a weapon to be used on me in depositions. I feel myself shrinking. The legal battle is draining our remaining savings. Friends we've had for 20 years are suddenly distant, unsure of whose side to take. Richard is a master of public relations, and he's spinning a tale of a brilliant entrepreneur being dragged down by a bitter, unstable ex. He's poisoning the well, and he's doing it with a smile. Meanwhile, he and the mistress, I learn her name is Amber, a perky, vapid woman half his age who works in his company's marketing department, are living a life of obscene luxury. He buys her a new convertible, a garish red thing that he parks in the driveway of the sleek downtown condo he's now renting. Friends send me screenshots from her social media, champagne brunches, weekend trips to Napa, a new diamond bracelet with a caption, "He spoils me." He's not just spending Leo's money. He's flaunting it. He's rubbing our noses in his betrayal, and there's nothing I can do but watch. The lowest point comes during a mediation session. Richard sits across the table, looking tanned and relaxed in a casual but expensive sweater. He leans back in his chair, the picture of a man without a care in the world. His lawyer proposes a settlement. They'll give me the house, which still has a mortgage, and a paltry alimony for a few years. There is no mention of Leo's money. And the inheritance? Ms. Davies asks, her voice like ice. Richard's lawyer smirks. The funds in question were invested in a high-risk business venture. Unfortunately, the market is volatile. There's nothing left to return.
He's claiming the money is gone. Lost.
He's burned through our son's entire future to fund his midlife crisis, and now he's shrugging his shoulders and calling it a bad investment. I look at Richard, and I feel a profound, bottomless despair. He won't even meet my eyes. He's just staring at a point on the wall behind me, his expression blank. He has destroyed our family, stolen from his own child, and he feels nothing.
No remorse. No guilt.
Nothing. In that moment, I truly believe he has won. He has taken everything, and he is going to get away with it. I walk out of that mediation room feeling utterly, completely defeated. The fight has gone out of me. All that's left is a hollow ache. That night, I sit in the dark kitchen, the legal bills spread out on the table like a funeral shroud. The house feels huge and empty. The silence is no longer just quiet. It's accusatory. I've failed. I failed to protect my son. I failed to get him justice. The front door opens and Leo walks in. He was supposed to be back at school, but here he is, his backpack slung over one shoulder. He looks older than he did a few months ago. The carefree boy is gone, replaced by a man with old, watchful eyes. He takes one look at my face, at the papers on the table, and he understands. He walks over, pulls out a chair, and sits down opposite me. He doesn't say, "What's wrong?" or "Are you okay?" He just waits. "It's gone, Leo," I whisper, the words breaking. He says the money is gone. He lost it all. There's nothing we can do. He listens, his expression unreadable. For a long time, he just sits there, his hands resting on the table. I can see the faint shadow of my father in the line of his jaw, in the steadiness of his gaze. Then, he pushes a laptop across the table toward me. "He didn't lose it all, Mom," he says, his voice quiet but firm. "He just moved it." On the screen is a complex flowchart of company names, shell corporations, and bank transfers. It looks like a spider's web. "I've been busy," Leo says. "I haven't just been going to class. I've been digging. Dad didn't just invest the money in his company, North Star Tech. He used it to buy out two of his partners who were threatening to sue him for mismanagement. He used it to pay off old company debts. And he funneled the rest through a series of shell LLCs to hide it from his creditors and from us." I stare at the screen, dumbfounded. How did you find all this?" A small, grim smile touches his lips. "He taught me to be good with computers, remember? And Grandpa taught me to read a balance sheet. Dad's mistake was thinking I was just a kid. He underestimated me." He then pulls out another folder. It's filled with documents. Financial analyses, market projections, profiles of North Star Tech's remaining board members. "His company isn't failing, Mom. It's not great, but it's not worthless. The core technology is solid." He's just a terrible manager. He's running it into the ground with his vanity projects and terrible spending. He takes a deep breath, and this is the moment everything changes. The despair that has been choking me for months begins to recede, replaced by a dawning, terrifying sense of purpose. He thinks the money is gone, Leo continues, his eyes locking onto mine. He thinks he's successfully laundered it. But he made another mistake. To keep control, he had to convert most of the company's debt into shares. He leveraged everything. The company is vulnerable. It's ripe for a hostile takeover. A takeover? I ask, my mind struggling to keep up. But we have no money. We don't need all of it, he says, his voice dropping to a near whisper. We just need enough to get a controlling interest. I have some money left. The scholarship I won, plus the bonds Grandma left me. It's not much, but it's a start. And, he says, pointing to a name on his list, I found a partner. The name is Arthur Vance, an old business associate of my father's. A man Richard had pushed out of a joint venture 15 years ago. A man who, according to Leo's research, had never forgiven the slight and had since become incredibly successful in his own right. Mr. Vance doesn't like my father very much, Leo says, the understatement hanging in the air. I called him. I told him the whole story. He's willing to put up the rest of the capital. He sees it as a good investment, and I think a poetic 1 inch. I look at my son, my quiet, gentle boy, and I see a general, a strategist. He has taken his grief and his anger and forged them into a weapon. A silent, precise, and devastating weapon. He is not seeking revenge in a hot-blooded rage. He is seeking justice, cold and calculated. He is not trying to get his money back. He is planning to take the entire kingdom. What's the plan? I ask, my voice steady for the first time in months. Leo leans forward, and for the next hour, in the dim light of our kitchen, he lays it all out. The plan is audacious, brilliant, and utterly terrifying. It involves back-channel negotiations, exploiting legal loopholes Richard himself created, and a perfectly timed strike. It's a gamble, a huge one. But as I listen, I realize it's the only move we have left. He's not just fighting for his money anymore. He's fighting for our name, for his grandfather's legacy, for the justice his father has denied us. This is our turning point. The moment we stop being victims and start being hunters. The fear is still there, a low hum beneath the surface. But now, it's overshadowed by a fierce, protective resolve. Richard thought he was at the top of his game, enjoying the spoils of his victory. He has no idea that the son he robbed is about to buy the ground right out from under his feet. The game isn't over. It has just begun. The next 2 months are a masterclass in stealth and subterfuge. We operate like a covert intelligence agency out of my home office. Leo, officially back at university, is the mastermind conducting his operations between classes on computer science and ethics. The irony is not lost on me. He communicates with Arthur Vance and his team of ruthless corporate lawyers through encrypted channels. I become the ground operative. I attend the divorce proceedings, playing the part of the beaten, demoralized wife. I let Richard's lawyer walk all over me. I concede on small points. I cry when I'm supposed to. I project an aura of complete and utter defeat. Every night, Leo and I have a debrief. He shows me the blocks of shares they are quietly acquiring through proxy buyers. Northstar Tech is a privately held company, which makes it harder, but Richard's desperation has made him careless. He's issued so many non-voting shares to cover his reckless spending that he's diluted his own power base without even realizing it. He still holds the majority of voting shares, but Leo and Vance have discovered a clause in the company bylaws, a clause Richard himself put in years ago to protect himself from his original partners, that allows for a full shareholder vote to challenge the board if a third of the total company equity requests it. They are methodically, silently, buying up that third. It's an excruciating tightrope walk. I have to face Richard in public, in our lawyers' offices, and pretend I am broken. He is condescending, occasionally offering a sliver of false pity. I'm sorry it had to be this way, Catherine, he says one afternoon, as we are leaving another pointless meeting. But you just couldn't see the big picture, he says it with a sigh, as if I am a child who can't understand adult matters. I just nod, lower my eyes, and let a single tear roll down my cheek. He buys it, of course. His ego requires him to. Inside, my heart is beating a steady rhythm of cold, hard fury. Just wait, I think. Just you wait. The day of the attack is chosen with surgical precision. It's the day of North Star Tech's quarterly board meeting. According to the company grapevine, which Leo has tapped into with surprising ease, Richard is planning to announce a major new partnership. A deal he believes will finally make the company, and him, a massive success. It's his moment of triumph. He's even invited Amber to the office that day to witness his coronation. I am at home, pacing the length of the living room. Leo is in a conference room in the city, with Arthur Vance and the legal team. They're on a conference call, waiting for the precise moment. My phone buzzes. It's a text from Leo. It's time. They're filing the motion now. My job is simple, but crucial. I have to be the distraction. I call Richard's cell phone. He answers on the second ring, his voice clipped and annoyed. Catherine, I'm in the middle of something. I need to talk to you, Richard, I say, letting my voice tremble. I'm ready to sign the settlement agreement. Your terms. I can't fight anymore. There's a pause. I can hear the smug satisfaction in his voice when he speaks.
Well,
it's about time you came to your senses. I'll have my lawyer send over the final papers. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm about to close the biggest deal of my life. He hangs up. He thinks he's won on all fronts. His divorce is settled on his terms, and his business is about to take off. He is at the absolute peak of his arrogance. The hubris is staggering. And he has no idea that 3,000 miles away, a legal filing has just landed that effectively freezes all board actions. He has no idea that the kingdom he's presiding over is no longer his. The boardroom at North Star Tech is all glass and steel, overlooking the city. Richard is standing at the head of the long, polished table. The remaining board members, men he handpicked for their loyalty and lack of spine, are seated, smiling expectantly. Amber is there, standing near the wall, looking adoringly at her man. He's just finished his grand speech, full of buzzwords and projections. He's basking in the glow of his own perceived brilliance. His assistant, a nervous young woman, scurries in and whispers something in his ear. Richard's smile falters. He frowns. What do you mean, a legal injunction? From who? Before she can answer, the double doors to the boardroom swing open. Arthur Vance walks in, flanked by two lawyers who look like they eat nails for breakfast. Vance is in his late 60s, with a full head of white hair and a gaze that could cut steel. He and Richard lock eyes across the room. Richard's face goes pale. Arthur, he sputters. What the hell are you doing here? I'm here for a shareholder meeting, Richard, Vance says, his voice calm and resonant. A meeting that you, as CEO, are now legally obligated to hold. It seems a significant percentage of your company's equity holders have some concerns about your leadership. Richard is reeling, confused. My equity holders? I am the majority equity holder. Are you? Vance says with a thin smile. You hold the majority of voting shares, that's true. But you've sold off so much of the company to cover your extracurricular activities that you've made yourself vulnerable. We, my associates and I, have acquired 34% of the total equity. More than enough to trigger a vote of no confidence and install a new board. Richard's face, which was pale a moment ago, is now turning a blotchy, furious red. He looks around at the other board members, who are now looking at him not with admiration, but with fear and confusion. He looks at Amber, whose adoring smile has been replaced by a look of utter bewilderment. This is ridiculous, Richard bellows. You can't just who is we? Who is behind this? And then, the final, beautiful, devastating move. The door opens again. And my son, Leo, walks into the room. He's not wearing a suit. He's in a simple, dark sweater and jeans. He looks young, but his eyes are ancient. He walks calmly, quietly, to the empty chair at the opposite end of the table from his father, and sits down. The room is utterly silent. The building holds its breath. All eyes are on Leo. Richard stares at him. His mouth opens and closes, but no sound comes out. The swagger, the arrogance, the charm, it all just evaporates. It melts off him like wax, leaving behind a small, scared, pathetic man. He looks from Leo to Arthur Vance and back again. The blood drains from his face. The pieces are clicking into place in his mind, forming a picture of his own complete and utter destruction. "Leo," he whispers, the name a ragged, incredulous puff of air. "What?" Leo looks at his father. There is no anger in his expression.
No triumph.
Just a quiet, profound finality. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. "Hello, Dad," he says, his voice clear and steady, cutting through the silence. "Mr. Vance and his associates have nominated me to the new board. And the board's first act will be to accept your resignation." He gestures to the chair at the head of the table. Richard's chair. "I believe this is my seat." That's when it happens. Richard makes a strange, guttural noise, a sound of pure animal agony. His eyes roll back in his head. His hand clutches at his chest, scattering a stack of papers across the gleaming table. And then he collapses. He slides out of his chair and crumples to the floor in a heap of expensive fabric and broken pride. For a moment, nobody moves. The shock is a physical presence in the room. Then Amber screams. The board members leap to their feet. Someone yells to call 911. And I, miles away in my quiet living room, get a final text from Leo. "It's done. Richard survives. A massive anxiety attack, the doctors call it. Not a heart attack, though his heart is surely broken. Not in the romantic sense, but in the way a thing is broken when its fundamental purpose is obliterated. His purpose was his image, his ego. And in one swift, silent motion, his son had taken a hammer to it. He spends a few days in the hospital. I don't visit. Leo doesn't visit. When he is released, he is a changed man. The charm is gone. The swagger is gone. All that's left is a hollowed-out shell. He doesn't fight the divorce anymore. He signs the papers without a word. He moves out of the condo, the one he can no longer afford, and into a sad little apartment across town. Amber is gone, of course. She disappeared the moment she realized the money was gone. She was never in love with Richard. She was in love with the lifestyle he was funding with our son's future. The company, now under the control of a new board headed by Arthur Vance, undergoes a radical transformation. Leo doesn't take over as CEO. He's too smart for that. He knows he's still just a 19-year-old kid. He takes a seat on the board, but he insists they hire a competent, experienced CEO to actually run the business. His only condition is that he is to be involved in all major strategic decisions. He returns to college, but now he's not just a student. He's a board member, a major shareholder, and the silent power behind the throne of the company his father built and then almost destroyed. The inheritance is restored and then some. Arthur Vance, as a gesture of goodwill, and because he knows a brilliant mind when he sees one, structures a deal that gives Leo an even larger equity stake in the restructured company. The money is no longer just a number in a bank account. It's a living, breathing entity. It's power. It's control. It's the ultimate security. Our life is quiet now. The house is peaceful. The silence is no longer loud or accusatory. It's calm. Leo comes home on weekends and we have dinner in the kitchen, just the two of us. We talk about his classes, about the company, about the future. He is still my quiet, thoughtful son, but there is a new weight to him, a new confidence. He has faced the monster and won. Sometimes, I feel a pang of sadness for the man Richard used to be, or the man I thought he was. I mourn the family we had, the 20 years of shared memories that are now tainted. The victory is not sweet. It's just necessary. It's the cold, clean feeling of a fever breaking. The relief is immense, but you're left weak and tired. One evening, a few months after it's all over, Leo and I are sitting on the back porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple. Do you ever think about him? I ask quietly. Leo is silent for a long time, watching the last sliver of sun disappear below the horizon. I try not to, he says finally. I don't hate him. I don't think I have the energy to hate him. I just don't think about him. He's not my father anymore. He's just the man who used to be married to my mother. The words are brutal, but they are true. He has been erased. Not by us, but by his own actions. He wrote himself out of our story. We are building a new story now, Leo and I. It's a quieter story, a simpler one. It's a story about resilience, about the fierce, unbreakable bond between a mother and her son. It's a story about a grandfather's legacy, not of money, but of integrity. A legacy that was stolen, and then reclaimed, not with anger, but with intelligence, patience, and a cold, satisfying justice. The pieces of our life are different now, rearranged into something new, something stronger. If this story hit close to home, I'd love to hear your version. Thanks for being here. Subscribing helps bring more of these to life.